I see the moon sees me. Down through the leaves of the old oak tree.
The vehicle's not safe.
We need to fail. We need to fail down here so we don't fail up there.
First of all, I just want to say congratulations on the film. It was honestly a remarkable cinematic achievement in my eyes. So, Damien, in your past 3 films, including First Man, the main characters have all embarked on different journeys, but in the end, they share an intimate moment between each other where nothing is said, and you kind of let the actors inhabit the moment, if you will. So I'm just really curious as to what draws you to these intimate conclusions.
I think, well, I turned to Claire for a second because I do think the only reason any of those conclusions work, if they do work at all, is because of the actors. And in some cases, for example, First Man, they weren't the original ending. But it was, when we were shooting, I had a sense, and certainly when I did the first cut with the editor Tom Cross of First Man, what Ryan and Claire just did with that scene, which was, as you can expect, 2 lines in the script, like very short description. What they did with it just felt so beautiful and complex and fitting. I guess the one thing I do like that I put some sort of pre-thought into is trying to, sounds cheesy, but trying to end like a movie with just kind of pure cinema, not trying to overstuff the ending with dialogue, but just trying to let, you've kind of done a lot of your mechanical storytelling to get you to this point, and so ideally by that last stretch you should be able to just let it flow, just let it sing, just let it be what it is, whether it's a musical number or a wordless sequence between 2 people. So that might be part of why I gravitate towards it, but in this movie's case it really was just being kind of blown away by what
Right. Well, and I think it's super effective, and I do want to ask you about that, but just out of curiosity, what was the original ending to the film?
Well, it was just a little bit afterwards. We spent a little more time in quarantine, and then basically it ended with Neil going home, and being informed that he wouldn't be able to, which you would expect he would never be allowed to go into space again.
Right. But yeah, for Claire, for you, as an actor, what do you do in moments like that? Are there a lot of discussions with Damien and Ryan, or is it really just kind of like a personal thing that you have to get into?
I always think that the best thing to do is just to see what happens, really. I don't think you can ever start out at the beginning of a scene with a kind of... You can say, I think, what the intention is, like what the kind of the context of it is, and the feeling that needs to be achieved, I suppose, in a way. But you can't say it needs to go like A, B, C, D, like exactly like that.
Right.
And Damien never did that with us anyway. I think you were always really willing just to kind of go, and then I'll tell you if there's something that's missing or something that needs to be either taken up or taken down. But with that scene, it was the first time me and Ryan had been in a scene where we weren't in a scene. He physically was on another. I couldn't hear him, and he was physically on the other side of the glass. Which anyway, for me, weirdly, when you're working with someone that close, that already makes you emotional because you're a bit like, why are you over there? And so it in those sorts of circumstances, as with so many in this film, everything was set up to make you just walk into that room and play the truth of it, as opposed to try and do a scene.
Shine on the one I love.
Mom, what's wrong?
Nothing, honey. Your dad's going to the moon.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin.
We have a go for main engine start.
Damien, going back to you real quick, in terms of, you Guy and Madeline, Whiplash, La La Land, music is very much an explicit part of the film, which created a cadence in terms of pacing. And with First Man, it's almost as if there's a metronome going the entire time. And I'm curious, are you constantly thinking musically, even if the film isn't directly dealing with, say, a musical or music?
Yeah, I get, and it's sort of, it's probably because I spent so much time as a musician or as a wannabe musician, and so I and because of how closely I work with Justin, who scored all of those, you know, even in this case, even though we didn't technically need to, he pre-wrote a lot of the score. Not all of it, but big chunks of it before we shot. So we would have, it just helped me to kind of pre-visualize some of the scenes, give little snippets to Ryan, for example, when we were shooting some of the space stuff. You know, it's just kind of in a way become part of how I work. So I guess it's not even so much a sort of conscious decision anymore. It's just, it helps me feel ready to shoot, to have some sense of what the musical language of the movie is going to be.
5.
What are the chances you're not coming back?
4.
Those kids, they don't have a father anymore.
3.
So you're gonna sit the boys down?
2.
And you're gonna prepare them for the fact you might not ever come home.
1.
Do you think you're coming back?
Janet was really the backbone of this film, and it was crucial, like, in rooting not only Neil but the film itself in the Armstrongs' domestic life. So, what resources did you seek out that gave you better insight into her headspace in a way that was reflective of her own experiences, rather than filtered through the lens of her husband's achievements?
I think Jim Hansen, who wrote the book, did an incredible kind of set of interviews with Janet when he was writing the book. And he asked her questions just about her life. And he wrote quite a lot about her upbringing, the things that her dad was a doctor and that he flew a plane, and so eventually she also flew a plane, and about how she met Neil at college, and kind of the story of their dating. There's this amazing interview, I don't know whether it was Jim who did that, but there's an amazing interview where they're talking candidly with each other about the first time that they met. And so it was all tapes, really. I never met Janet, and she passed away earlier this year. So I had to kind of get to know her remotely, but I think that was probably the best for me, because if I'd met her, I definitely would have been really kind of wanting to appeal to her or hero worship her in some way, because she was an extraordinary woman.
We've got this under control.
You're a bunch of boys. You don't have anything under control.